right, so for this one we have 6 players yet again. Do we actually have 6 players for each of these games? No, the first one we had 7. Okay, so we have 6 singers here. K, L, T, W, Y, and Z. 2 of them are recorded. We know which ones are recorded. So K and L are recorded, and the other 4 are not. Right, the 6 auditions are to take place one after another on a single day. So we have sequencing. We do have a bit of an in and out component here with some of them being recorded and some of them not. Okay, so this one I would probably just set up as like a double line sequencing game. So the bottom will be whether or not it's recorded, and then the top will be the player. So the 4th audition cannot be recorded. All right, so that means that K and L can't be in that position. The 5th audition must be recorded. So since it's recorded, K or L has to be there. W's audition must take place earlier than the 2 recorded auditions. K's audition must take place earlier than T's. Z's audition must take place earlier than Y's. Z is before Y. Okay, great. So question 18. So we'll just go in order based on the rules. So the 4th audition can't be recorded. The 4th audition can't be K or L. So E is out based on rule 1. Rule 2 says the 5th audition must be recorded. So the 5th has to be either K or L, which means that C is out. The 3rd rule is that W's audition has to be earlier than both K and L. Okay, so W before K and L means that A is out. The 4th rule states that K has to be earlier than T. So K before T, K before T, K before T. That's actually followed in all of the answer choices. So we must be able to use the last one to eliminate. Z has to be before Y. Right, we only have B and D left. Z has to be before Y, so B is out based on rule 5. D is the correct answer. Question 19. Which one of the following cannot be the 2nd audition? So I would really just look at these rules here, and I see that T has to be before K, T has to be after K, which has to be after W, so T cannot be 2nd. C is the correct answer. 20. Which one of the following could be the 6th? So which one could actually be last? So W can't be, K can't be, so Z can't be, right? They all have somebody after them. K also can't be. So B and C, so either L or T being 6th. Okay, so let's, I see what we're doing here. So 4th, so this has to be either K or L, right? So if T is last, that's fine, right? We could still have either K or L here. But if L is last, then K has to be 5th, but then there's no room for T. So L can't be last. B is out. C must be the correct answer. 21. If K's audition is immediately before Y's. Awesome. So I'm actually going to redraw these 2 and place them together. So as it stands right now, we have sort of 2 separate diagrams, right? But now that we know that K is immediately before Y, we can fit them together. So W has to be before K, which is immediately before Y, so those guys are a block. Z's going to have to be before both of them as well. W also has to be before L, and the KY block has to be before T. Okay, great. So what could be true? Could K's audition be 2nd? No, because it has to have W and Z before it. B, could T's audition be fourth? No, because it has to have Y, K, W, and Z before it. So B's out. Could W's audition be third? No, it has to have 1, 2, 3, 4 after it. D, could Y's audition be sixth? No, T is after. So Z second. Yes, that is possible. So W would be first, then Z. And then we could have L jump in. That's possible. So we could have L, K, Y, T, or we could have W, Z, K, Y, L, T, or W, Z, K, Y, T, L. It's possible, except we can't have either of these because K or L has to be fifth. So I can create all of those possible solutions just based on these last two rules, or I guess last three rules. Yeah, but ultimately this is the only one that works out because the fifth spot has to be occupied by a recorded audition. E is the correct answer, and that's the only acceptable solution we get. All right, Y's audition could be fourth. So 22, B is the correct answer. And it was worthwhile to actually write out that solution. 23 is a substitution question, so these are notoriously difficult. Okay, which one of the following, if substituted for the condition that Waite's audition must take place earlier than the two recorded auditions, would have the same effect in determining the order of the auditions? Okay, so this one is actually really, I think, a fairly typical substitution type question. So W has to be before K, L, and T. Z and Y are the only ones that could be earlier than W. Interesting. Could Y be earlier than W though? Why not? So A says that Z's audition is the only one that can be earlier than W. But the way that I have it written here, it looks like Y could be as well. So I'm actually going to just draw that out and see if I can make that work. So can I have Z, Y, then W, L, K, T? Is there something wrong with that? Yes, there is. We can't have L fourth. Okay. Yeah, and the way that this is written, either K or L would end up being fourth, so that isn't an option. Yeah, so Z is the only one that could be earlier than W, so A is the correct answer. Yeah, really interesting. So this is a super typical substitution question for a game where we have relative position rules. So they're trying to trap us by only mentioning a player that has to be earlier than W, when the original rule is talking about how W has to be earlier than L and K. But in combination with the other rules, right, we learn that W also has to be before T, and in fact that W has to be before Y, because the alternative would lead us to breaking the first two rules, or one of the first two rules. Okay, so yeah, so this is one of those things where we're kind of looking at the shadow rule of the original rule. So it's a rule that says the same thing, but looks at it from the opposite angle. So the rule that W has to be before K and L, the shadow rule for that is that the only ones that could be before W are T, Z, and Y. But then there's some extra restrictions based on the other rules in the game, right? So T actually can't be before W because it has to be after K. And Y actually can't be before W because if it is, it's going to lead to something impossible. So the shadow rule, which is that T, Z, and Y are the only ones that can be before W. That in combination with the restrictions of the other rules leads us to the fact that if Z is the only one that can be before W, then we'll end up with the same results as we would with the original rule. Okay. Great. All right, so that is it for the game section for prep test 78. If you have any specific questions that you'd like me to go over, please let me know. This game I would say would probably take roughly the same amount of time as game 3. I wouldn't say that any of these games stands out as being especially difficult. I think they all have a few more difficult questions within the games, but yeah, they're probably roughly around the same level of difficulty, although from my experience with students, some students have more trouble with game 2 because of the conditional reasoning there, some with game 3 because of the flexibility that you have to have, and some with game 4 because we have that substitution question, and then we have, again, an in and out and sequencing component with this one. So we have 2 fairly different rule types, right, with the web game type rules, and then also those recorded, not recorded, and like categorization type rules. Okay.